What happens when the truth someone has hidden for years suddenly surfaces in front of millions of eyes? Imagine the lights of the studio casting long shadows across a tense, nearly empty room. The air is thick with anticipation, electric with the kind of suspense that makes your pulse pound before anything has even happened. Tonight, on Roots of Revenge, we bring you a confrontation that was whispered about for months behind closed doors, a collision of fame, betrayal, and secrets too explosive to ignore. Before we dive in, if you love uncovering the most shocking celebrity stories, hit that subscribe button for Roots of Revenge, give this video a like, and drop a comment below with your first thoughts. Because tonight, what you're about to witness will leave you speechless. The camera pans slowly over the glimmering faces of the studio audience, their murmurs barely audible over the low hum of the lights. And then, she walks in. Jessica Moreau, the golden girl of Hollywood, whose smile has graced every magazine cover for the past decade. But tonight, that smile feels brittle, like glass ready to shatter. Across from her sits Adrian Cross, the actor whose rise to fame was meteoric, yet whose reputation has always danced on the edge of scandal. Their eyes meet, and for a split second, the air between them seems to crack, as if the room itself is holding its breath. The host clears their throat, voice steady but tinged with anticipation. Jessica, Adrian, thank you for joining us tonight. There are things the public needs to know. Jessica's hand twitches slightly, betraying the calm she attempts to project. Adrian leans back, his jaw tight, fingers tapping on the armrest, a rhythm of suppressed anger. I don't know what you mean by that, he says, voice low, almost a growl. The audience reacts, a mix of gasps and murmurs. Cameras zoom in on Jessica as she swallows hard, her eyes flicking to the floor for a moment, then up, locking with Adrian's gaze. You know exactly what I mean, she says, each word deliberate, slicing through the tension like a knife. Behind the scenes, producers whisper frantically, realizing this is no ordinary interview. The show was meant to be promotional, light-hearted, a chance for these two stars to mend bridges for the cameras. But what's about to unfold couldn't be scripted. Adrian's eyes flash with something uncontainable, anger, fear, perhaps guilt, and the room seems to shrink around the weight of what he knows. If you're talking about that thing from 5 years ago, I don't think this is the place, he begins, but Jessica cuts him off with a sharp laugh, almost bitter. The place is everywhere, Adrian. The place is public, and the truth doesn't care about your timing. The audience leans forward, sensing the storm. One person whispers, "This is insane. Are they really going to?" The camera doesn't miss a beat, capturing every twitch, every involuntary reaction. The host tries to steer, their tone urgent yet measured. We're here for answers, but we need honesty from both sides. Jessica, can you explain what you're referring to? Jessica's eyes glimmer with a mix of defiance and pain. She takes a deep breath, and the studio goes almost silent, as if even breathing is forbidden. Adrian made a choice, she says slowly, a choice that ruined more than just careers. It ruined lives, and for years, no one knew, until now. The words hang in the air like smoke, suffocating and thick, and the audience shifts, the tension palpable, everyone straining to catch the next syllable. Adrian's hand tightens on his chair, knuckles white. That's not fair, he says, voice cracking with the weight of emotion. I was trying to protect people. Jessica leans forward, her voice now sharper, almost relentless. Protect yourself, maybe. But at what cost? The lights catch a tear forming at the corner of her eye, but she doesn't flinch. She lets the tension swell, a slow, deliberate pause before dropping the next bombshell. I have the proof. At that, the room gasps collectively. Cameras zoom closer, capturing the ripple of shock spreading across every face. Adrian's eyes widen, disbelief morphing into panic. The host, sensing the tipping point, gestures, trying to regain control, but even they can't suppress the unfolding drama. Jessica reaches into her purse, pulling out a sleek tablet, and with a swipe, displays images and messages that had been buried for years. The audience reacts immediately. Some stand, some cover their mouths, Some whisper frantically. This changes everything, one voice mutters. Everything, repeats another. Adrian stares at the screen, every line, every message a dagger twisting deeper, exposing secrets that could dismantle carefully built reputations. His face pales, jaw slack, as if the weight of exposure finally crushes him. Jessica, sensing her victory, yet tinged with her own sorrow, steps closer. Do you have anything to say, Adrian? Anything at all? The room holds. Adrian's eyes dart around the room as if searching for an escape that doesn't exist. The tablet in Jessica's hands glows under the harsh studio lights, each image and message a silent witness to years of hidden choices, betrayals, and lies. The audience feels the weight of the moment. Some clutch their seats, some whisper under their breath, but none dare look away. I didn't mean for it to go that far, Adrian finally says, voice tight, each word trembling with a mixture of fear and frustration. Jessica doesn't flinch. Her expression is unwavering, a storm barely contained. Not mean for it to go that far, she repeats, voice low and cutting. Adrian, you destroyed trust. You destroyed lives. And for what? A secret you thought no one would ever see? The camera pans over the crowd, faces reflecting disbelief, anger, and empathy. Someone in the audience mutters, "This is unreal. I can't believe they're showing this on live TV." The host steps in, attempting to mediate, their hands raised as if to calm a gathering hurricane. Adrian, perhaps you can explain why these messages exist. Maybe context will help the viewers understand. Adrian swallows hard, shifting uneasily in his chair. His public persona, a polished, confident celebrity, crumbles before the nation's eyes. Jessica, I made mistakes. I thought I was protecting people. I thought... He pauses, the words failing him. You thought? Jessica's laugh is harsh, almost unbearable in its intensity. You thought while everything else burned around you? You thought while people suffered in silence? The audience gasps again. Cameras swivel to catch the reactions. Some viewers in the front row gasp audibly. A woman whispers, I can't watch. And a man shakes his head in disbelief. The tension is almost tangible, like a living creature crawling across every shoulder in the studio. Jessica leans in, voice quivering but resolute, her eyes locking on Adrian's. You weren't thinking, you were hiding, and now all of it is out, for everyone to see. Adrian's hand shakes as he reaches for the tablet, as if to reclaim control, but Jessica pulls it slightly back. No, this isn't yours to control anymore, she says firmly. There is a long, charged silence. The only sound is the low hum of the cameras and the distant click of lights adjusting. Then, Adrian's voice breaks, softer, more human than the bravado the public sees. I never wanted anyone to get hurt. You know that. Jessica's face softens just for a heartbeat, a flicker of the old friendship, or maybe something deeper that once existed between them, but it disappears almost instantly. I do know that, Adrian, she says, voice tight with emotion. And that's what makes this betrayal even worse. You had the power to do the right thing, and you didn't. And now we're all paying the price. The audience is silent, hanging on every word. You can feel the tension vibrating through the room like a live wire. One of the producers whispers nervously off camera, "This is bigger than we imagined." The host, sensing the pivotal moment, presses further. Adrian, can you accept responsibility? Can you face the consequences of these actions? Adrian closes his eyes, letting out a long, shuddering breath. I don't know if I can, he admits, voice cracking, vulnerability spilling out in a way few have ever seen. But I want to try. I want to make it right. Jessica's expression softens slightly, but only just. Try? Adrian, some things aren't about trying. Some things are about owning what you've done and living with it. The truth doesn't forgive. It doesn't wait. It just is. The audience murmurs in agreement, the weight of her words resonating. One viewer whispers, She's right. He can't just talk his way out of this. Another nod slowly, voice barely audible. This. This is going to end careers. The tension ratchets higher when Jessica steps closer, pointing at Adrian with controlled fury. I trusted you. I believed in you. And you used that trust as a weapon. Do you understand the damage you caused? Adrian looks down, unable to meet her eyes, his hands clasping and unclasping, sweat forming on his brow. I do. I finally do, he says, voice barely audible. But Jessica shakes her head slowly, letting the disappointment pierce the room like ice. Understanding isn't enough. People were hurt, lives were broken, and while you understand, the world will see the truth. All of it, and nothing can undo that. The studio lights dim slightly, a visual punctuation to the emotional weight in the room. Adrian exhales sharply, a sound like the last of his defenses breaking. I don't know how to fix it, he admits, raw and exposed. Jessica's eyes glint, a mixture of sorrow, anger, and something like triumph. You can't. That's the point. Some things aren't fixable. You live with them, you answer for them. And tonight, everyone else will see the truth too. The host leans forward, voice steady but tense. Jay. The room feels smaller now, the air thicker, as if the walls themselves are closing in around Adrian and Jessica. Every camera lens, every whisper of the audience, every flicker of the studio lights amplifies the tension, holding it like a living, breathing entity. Adrian's hands tremble slightly on his knees, eyes darting around as if searching for an exit that doesn't exist. Jessica steps closer, her presence commanding the room, her voice a low, sharp blade cutting through the remnants of pretense. You thought hiding behind charm and influence would keep you safe, didn't you? She asks, every word deliberate enough to make the audience flinch. Adrian swallows hard, and for a moment, the confident facade he's built over a decade crumbles entirely. Jessica, I didn't know it would. His voice falters, the words hanging half-formed, swallowed by the weight of the moment. Jessica interrupts, her voice rising slightly, but still steady enough to be chilling. Didn't know it would? People trusted you. I trusted you. And yet you let them fall, all the while smiling for the cameras, playing the hero. The audience gasps, some audibly, some pressed against their seats, mouths agape. One man mutters, "This is insane. She's calling him out like no one ever has." Jessica pulls the tablet closer, scrolling slowly, deliberately, revealing even more messages, more images, more pieces of a puzzle that had been hidden from the public for years. Each swipe is like a drumbeat of judgment, each revelation a hammer, striking Adrian's carefully constructed armor. Look at this, she says, voice tight with restrained fury. Every lie, every excuse, every cover-up. You don't get to rewrite history, Adrian. The evidence doesn't lie. Adrian's face turns pale, his jaw tight, hands gripping the arms of his chair until his knuckles are white. You don't understand. These weren't just my choices alone, he protests, voice rising in desperation, almost breaking. Jessica's glare doesn't waver. Don't shift the blame. Don't make this about anyone else. It's on you, and it always was. The audience leans in as the tension escalates further. One woman whispers, I can feel the tension from here. This is unbearable. Cameras catch every twitch of emotion. A flicker of regret in Adrian's eyes, a flash of triumph in Jessica's, and a collective sense of shock rippling through the crowd. The host steps cautiously into the fray, sensing the tipping point. Let's try to keep this constructive. Adrian, can you address any of these claims without deflecting? Adrian exhales sharply, his voice low, almost defeated. I wanted to protect them. I wanted to make sure no one else got hurt. Jessica's response is merciless. Protect them? By hiding the truth? By letting them suffer in silence? That's not protection, Adrian. That's cowardice. A ripple of murmurs runs through the audience. Some nod, some shake their heads, but all are caught in the gravity of the moment. Cowardice, Someone whispers in the front row, their voice barely audible. She's right. That's exactly what it was. Adrian leans forward, desperation creeping into his tone. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but I never wanted anyone to hate me. Jessica laughs softly, a sound that's more bitter than amused, cutting through the tension like glass. Hate you? Oh, Adrian, yeah, that's only the beginning. The world isn't just going to hate you, they're going to remember every lie, every betrayal, and they're going to ask why you weren't honest when it mattered most. The host takes a step back, letting the storm unfold, aware that anything they say could inflame it further. The camera zooms in on the tablet, the images and messages now impossible to ignore, each one a testimony of recklessness, deception, and secrets long buried. Adrian's shoulders slump, the fight leaving him, replaced by a hollow exhaustion. I I thought I could fix it behind the scenes, he admits, voice barely above a whisper. I thought if no one knew, no one would get hurt. Jessica shakes her head slowly, letting the disappointment fill the room. Your fixing has consequences. People are hurt, families are fractured, reputations destroyed, and the truth doesn't forgive, Adrian. The truth doesn't care who you are. It just comes out. A murmur runs through the audience, a collective intake of breath. Cameras capture every angle, the tension, the rage, the despair. One woman whispers, "It's like watching a train wreck, and you can't look away." Then, a shift. Jessica's voice softens just for a moment, a flicker of the past friendship, of trust, lost, but not forgotten. I wanted to believe you, she says quietly, almost painfully. I wanted to trust you, but you made that impossible. Adrian's hands cover his face, his voice breaking. I I don't know how to fix any of this. I don't know if I can. Jessica steps closer, tilting her head, eyes blazing. You can't. That's the point. Some things are. The studio lights dim, leaving only the glow of the tablet and the harsh glare of the cameras capturing every reaction. The audience sits frozen, their collective heartbeat echoing the tension that refuses to dissipate. Some are whispering frantically, trying to process what they've just witnessed. Others are staring wide-eyed, almost in disbelief, as if the confrontation between Jessica and Adrian has broken the very air around them. Across the room, Adrian sits slumped, a hollow figure drained by the weight of exposure, unable to speak, unable to move. Jessica remains upright, poised, yet visibly shaken, her hands still gripping the tablet as though it anchors her to the reality she has forced into the open. This is insane, murmurs one audience member, shaking their head. I can't believe they're airing this. Cameras pan over the reactions, faces pale, eyes glistening, mouths open in shock, and every second feels like an eternity. The host's voice cuts into the thick silence, careful, measured, trying to bring a semblance of order. What we've witnessed tonight is more than an interview. It's a reckoning. The truth, no matter how painful, has been revealed, and now the consequences are inevitable. Behind the cameras, producers frantically make notes, aware that every second of footage will dominate headlines and social media for days, perhaps weeks. Clips are already being streamed on phones, the confrontation going viral before the cameras even stop rolling. Meanwhile, Adrian finally lifts his head, eyes haunted, voice barely audible. I never wanted it to end like this, he says, the despair palpable. Jessica's gaze is unwavering, a mixture of sorrow and determination. You should have thought of that before, she replies, voice calm but sharp, slicing through his excuses like a blade. The audience reacts with a collective intake of breath, whispers ripple through the rows. She's right, one says. He knew the risk and still hid it all. Outside the studio, the fallout is immediate. Social media explodes with reaction videos, tweets dissecting every word, every glance, every pause. Hashtags trend worldwide. Hashtag truth revealed. Hashtag Jessica versus Adrian. Hashtag roots of revenge. Comment sections fill with debates, outrage, and empathy. Fans pick sides, some defending Adrian, others lauding Jessica's courage. "I can't believe she went there," one tweet reads. "Finally, someone is calling out toxic celebrity culture." Another user types, "Adrian's career might never recover. This is brutal, but deserved." News outlets scramble to cover the story, analyzing every revelation, quoting every damning message, and replaying the confrontation from multiple angles. TV commentators speculate on lawsuits, endorsements lost, and the long-term impact on both celebrities' careers. Meanwhile, Jessica's phone buzzes relentlessly, messages of support, admiration, and solidarity from colleagues, fans, and even former critics who suddenly recognize her bravery. She exhales slowly, the weight of the evening finally sinking in, but there's a sense of resolve in her posture. This is her truth, her victory, but also a reminder that justice and accountability come at a cost. Adrian, on the other hand, faces a storm of backlash. Sponsors pull campaigns, movie studios reconsider contracts, and even casual fans express shock and disappointment. The world that once cheered his every move now scrutinizes his every action. Yet in the eye of this social hurricane, he is forced to confront himself, to reckon with every choice he thought he could hide. Days later, opinion pieces dissect the confrontation in exhaustive detail. Talk shows replay the footage, panelists debate the morality of fame versus responsibility, and internet forums buzz with fervent discussion. The narrative is clear, the truth has emerged, and the roots of betrayal cannot be ignored. And while the public consumes every detail, Jessica's message resonates beyond gossip. She becomes a symbol of courage, of accountability, of the power one person has to confront a carefully constructed facade and demand honesty. The ripple effect is undeniable. Careers are questioned, reputations challenged, and the conversation about responsibility in the spotlight reaches a fever pitch. Back in the studio, the host closes the segment, their voice heavy with significance. "What we've seen tonight is not just drama, it's a lesson. Secrets have consequences, actions have weight, and accountability is inescapable." Jessica stands, handing the tablet back, her expression softening for just a moment as the audience rises in applause, some cheering, some silent but visibly moved. Adrian remains seated, shoulders slumped, knowing the storm has only just begun. The cameras pull back, capturing the studio in its final tense tableau. One celebrity vindicated, another exposed, the audience still trembling from the intensity of what they have witnessed. As the credits roll and the scene fades, viewer,